Welcome to Optimal Health Weekly with your host, Steve Adams. This podcast is for highly driven professionals, CEOs, and entrepreneurs who know health is the first wealth. Join us each week for a mix of expert interviews and solo episodes on health topics relevant to your busy life. Let's elevate your health together.
Hi, this is Steve Adams from Tiger Medical Institute, and welcome to the Tiger Optimal Health Podcast, where my guest today is Alyssa Chavez. Alyssa Chavez is an endo warrior, meaning endometriosis, and she has watched herself go from chronic pain, digestive issues, and insurmountable fatigue to feeling great and living her life again. Her pathway towards health really began in 2016 when she ditched birth control in preparation for getting ready to start a family with her incredible husband, and she began experiencing crippling pain with her monthly menstrual cycle or period. She had constant acne breakouts, heavy PMS symptoms a full week before her period even started, and chronic fatigue and digestive distress. Since she wasn't getting pregnant, she decided to get evaluated by a fertility specialist who suspected endometriosis from her ultrasound and suggested that she go straight to IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. Her body was loaded up with hormones and medications. She had hundreds of needles. She still has hundreds of needles left over from the many injections. She went through 2 rounds of IVF, with the first round failing to implant and the second round ending in miscarriage. That was devastating and painful in so many ways. Alyssa has always been more holistically minded as a person. And so after that experience, she decided to take a break and begin to take a deep dive into her own health and what might actually be at the root cause of the symptoms she was experiencing. She was blown away by how much better she started to feel and how many of her symptoms disappeared entirely. This deep dive led her to want to learn how to help other women do the same thing. So she became a nutritional therapy practitioner and later furthered her education by becoming a functional hormone specialist and restorative wellness practitioner. At this point in her fertility journey, it continues on, but she has seen firsthand what a difference dietary and lifestyle changes can make. She's experienced what a world of difference addressing gut health makes in so many ways. She has so much more energy. She feels stronger and more vibrant. She can live life during her periods again and look forward to the future instead of feeling stuck just trying to get through the day. So, Alyssa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me today.
Yeah, we were talking before we came on today about my wife and I went through this journey together 30 some years ago. And we ended up going through IVF, and we got 2 kids from it who are 30 and 28 today, and we have a grandson. So we know that journey. We know the pain of it. And, you know, your story is just like mine. I was a very sick executive 7-8 years ago and went through this same process of discovering root cause medicine, getting better. And that's why I started Tiger Medical, was to bring it to executives around the world. So we're going to have fun on this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell me about your husband, you and your husband, a little bit about your life.
Yeah, so we've been together now for about 15 years and actually just celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary last week.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And yeah, we live in Southern California. We have a couple of French bulldogs and recently added to the mix a couple of parakeets.
For now, those are your kids, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we actually met, interestingly, through classical ballet. So both of us used to be professional classical ballet dancers. That was kind of an initial career for both of us. And that's how we connected with each other. And, he still does a lot of teaching and coaching and all of that. And yeah, we love our life.
That's really neat. And it sounds like you guys are probably pretty active because you were athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We still try to stay pretty active. I mean, not the same as when we were dancing full time, but I'm still really into yoga and hiking. And, we like to just get out. Obviously, we have 2 dogs, so that we get out walking and stuff a lot anyway. So, yeah.
Funny, a little quick aside, my last business was a chain of pet stores. And we commissioned some research and found that if people owned a dog, they were 40% more likely to walk on a daily basis and actually make strong social connections because the dogs meet and then it forces you to talk to people.
Oh yeah, we've experienced that for sure.
Yeah, that's really neat. So maybe, I would like, I read the bio, but why don't you in your own words talk about your origin story about how you got into what you do today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's true for so many of us that are in this field, right? That we get into it because of our own experiences. And that was definitely the case for me. I mean, I've always been interested in health and wellness. It's been just kind of a hobby for years, a passion of mine. I would read books and watch the documentaries and just kind of experiment on myself on what made me feel best. But yeah, it was when I first received that endometriosis diagnosis that my approach to everything I'm doing kind of flipped upside down, because I always considered myself to be just a pretty healthy individual. And then all of a sudden, I was having difficulty getting pregnant, and I when I went off birth control, like you had mentioned, just experienced a whirlwind of symptoms. I mean, the pain was really the big thing for me as well, which I know so many women with endometriosis experience, where I would be on my period and just, when I say crippling pain, I mean, actually, I couldn't function. Like I couldn't even really stand up straight. I would be kind of borderline crawling around the house if I needed to move. I remember really distinctly having to go up the stairs of my house and having to literally crawl up the stairs and rest like 3 or 4 times on the way up. And it's a 2-story house. It's not like I'm, going up tons and tons of stairs. So it was to that level where I was like, okay, something must be up. And the funny thing is too, and I think so many women can relate to this also, that it's so normalized in our society to have period pain. Like it's kind of just brushed off, like, oh, that's just a normal thing. And so I actually didn't even get help right away because I didn't recognize that it was necessarily an issue, or that it was a sign that something was off in my body. So that was really the start of my journey, was just going through all of that, realizing, what was going on in my body. And, initially I did the conventional medical approach, and, they had me on all the hormonal medications and so many things. And I just was left feeling worse than I had started. And secondly, I could tell as I was experiencing that I just wasn't getting better from the grand scheme of things. Even if some of the symptoms might feel better, I just knew, I was like, well, this can't be really fixing the root of the problem. And so I remember even talking to my doctor about it and saying, hey, I'm really interested in diet and even supplements and things like that. Do you have anything that you can recommend, or a good starting point? And she almost kind of laughed at me like, well, you're so cute, whatever you think might help. And this doesn't feel right to me. So I started, initially it was just me on my own doing research and reading, and started to learn some dietary changes and started to make a world of difference just with that. And so it got me thinking of, what, I want to learn more about this. And I know that there are so many other women out there that could use this kind of support. I want to be able to bring this to people. And so I started just digging in and getting myself educated, where I can actually help people. And so, initially that was learning a lot about nutrition and
well, lifestyle. You went out and got 2 kind of certifications, didn't you?
Actually, I think more than that now. I'm addicted to the continuing education.
Right, but you dug in so that you could bring real credible help to people.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow, that's neat. Everything you described, I watched my wife go through. She was a collegiate cheerleader, very healthy. And, within 2 or 3 years after we were married, she was in a ball on our bed for a day or two in pain.
Yeah.
And, the only thing that for her that ever gave her relief was when she, through IVF, got pregnant.
Yeah.
And that gave her a relief for like 9 or 10 months. And then it went roaring back. Yeah. And then after we had our second child, her only option was they just did a, full hysterectomy.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you've been able to experience the freedom of those symptoms through a functional approach to your own health.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a little bit of a combination. I did end up having an endometriosis excision surgery about 2 years ago now.
Is that where they go in and clean it up like laser cleaning? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, kind of. There's different types of surgery, and I won't go super in depth on that today. But the excision surgery kind of tries to pull it out from its root. I picture it like pulling out a weed.
Okay, got it.
To remove the disease from the body, just to kind of give me a reset, right? As I'm doing all the nutrition stuff. But,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know even before and after that, I've seen a huge change in symptoms from everything I've been doing, because even the surgery, they say that it's supposed to give you full relief from the pain and stuff like that. And I never quite got that full 100% relief from that.
Yeah.
But I kept doing the work that I was doing and approaching my body from that functional approach. And slowly over time, I am at a point now, even with a uterus, where I'm able to
function.
I'm able to function and even to the point where I'm having, basically symptom-free periods at this point, which I
that's
think
tremendous.
was possible. So,
our doctors talk about all the time with our patients about optimizing the terrain, the terrain. That's kind of what functional medicine is in traditional medicine. And when you and I say this, we don't want the audience thinking we think it's all bad and terrible. That's not the right approach, because there's a lot of good work that is done in traditional medicine.
Absolutely.
But what we're saying is that traditional medicine's approach is they look at one issue at a time, and it ends up being this siloed thing where it's hard to get them to talk to each other. This is how you end up on multiple medications that sometimes don't always go great together, and you don't feel well. No one's poor or intended in that. It just happens. And so what a functional, practitioner will do is look at everything and take the mosaic of data and like find connect the dots, if you will, of the underlying mechanisms that are creating the problem and address it. And when you do, and like what our doctors really focus in on are three things: inflammation, oxidative stress, and the environment of the cell. And when you optimize those things, everything, the body wants to heal itself. And so when you provide that foundation, right? And that's what I hear you saying is you're helping women optimize their terrain so that they can live better with this disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that your specialty? Is that what you really focus on?
Yeah. I mean, I have other, clients who have other stuff going on. Absolutely. But I ended up specializing in endometriosis just because I saw a huge need for it. I'm a big believer that when there's a chronic condition of any kind, a chronic illness, it just kind of requires that deeper support. And because I had that personal experience with endometriosis, I knew what it was like. I kind of knew the ins and outs of what goes on in your body, at least as much as we're aware of at this point in time. And so, I decided to bring that to the world in a way that I can help to support people who are going through similar things.
Steve Adams here from Tiger Medical Institute. Do you ever feel like you're operating at less than 100%? It's time to take control of your health with the True Health Assessment by Tiger Medical. Get comprehensive blood screening to identify hidden health risks before it's too late. Our team of Mayo-trained and naturopathic physicians will analyze your results and provide a custom plan to optimize your well-being. Don't let underlying issues hold you back. Invest in your most valuable asset, your health. For the price of a daily chai latte from Starbucks, you can gain priceless insights and a roadmap to peak performance. Visit truehealthassessment.com, truehealthassessment.com today and unlock your full potential. Because when you feel your best, you can achieve your best. That's true health. So let's say there is a lady. Are you working mainly with women, probably 25 to 40?
Yeah, I would say that's the primary age range. Yeah.
And are most of them also struggling with fertility because of the endometriosis?
A lot of them are, yes.
Yeah, and that's a very painful journey. My wife and I went through that. You have a 3-bedroom house. Oh, how many kids do you have? And they don't realize how much that hurts when and they don't mean that, but just little things like that. Okay. And so when you work with someone like that, what's the process look like for them?
Yeah, well, I like to do a lot of work up front with just the very foundational things that, may sound obvious or too easy, but really matters at the end of the day.
They do.
Just making sure that you're getting enough nutrients in your body, that you're getting a good amount of protein, that you're eating your vegetables, that you're eating in a way to keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the day, that you're eating in a way even to optimize your digestion. I mean, there's so many things. You're hydrating well? There's so many of these little things that really add up and make a huge difference in your health. So I really like to start with the foundational stuff. And I feel like everybody comes to me kind of in a different place. Some people come in and really have a lot of the foundational stuff already dialed in. So we might just be making little tweaks.
Yeah. Yep.
And some people might just be completely brand new to this and not really have any understanding of how to nourish their bodies, because it's not something that we're really taught in school.
We're not, no.
So that's where I like to start with everybody, just to really lay that nice foundation, and then we kind of go from there. And it's really pretty individualized, the process. I do like to use the functional testing, just so we can really see what might be going on in the body, as far as if there's stuff going on in your gut, if there's, potential food sensitivities going on, if there's, hormone imbalances, a wide variety of things that we can take a look at to really figure out, okay, if we're looking underneath the hood, what, you mentioned inflammation earlier, and that's definitely a huge piece of the puzzle with endometriosis. So I consider it to be kind of like inflammation hunting. Like, we're looking at potential sources of inflammation that can be kind of adding fuel to that fire, and just helping to, remove or reduce those sources of inflammation, kind of help that immune reaction calm down a little bit. So it's kind of like a reset for your body. And then we kind of just tweak things along the way.
And a lot of that immune issue is what you're putting into your body, like what you eat, also how you're handling stress, because the autonomic nervous system, which is the branch of the central, if you are in what's called sympathetic, which is the stress response, that's inflammatory. What you want to do is activate the vagal nerve with diaphragmatic breathing and, have an extended exhale, activate the vagal nerve, and that will help bring inflammation down as well, because it also lowers cortisol.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so if you can improve the stress response, improve their sleep, improve what they're putting in their body, because we eat a lot of inflammatory foods. The big give up for me was movie theater popcorn. I love that stuff, but I had a very high C-reactive protein score when I first started working with the doctor who's my partner now. He's like, that's got to go, because we got to bring this down. Because what can happen too is, from a genetic standpoint, our doctors do a lot of very advanced genetic work, and there are genes that you can turn on, express because of high inflammation. So you want to get that down. Is endometriosis an inflammatory disease?
Yeah, there is definitely a huge inflammatory component with endometriosis. I mean, like so many things, there's definitely still some research to be done on, how this all comes about to begin with. But the things that do seem to be pretty consistently coming up through research and, observation is that there definitely is a huge inflammatory component. And I see that all the time when I work with clients too, on lab work, when I get blood work back or stool tests or, all these different things. I see a lot of those signs of inflammation on pretty much everybody who I work with.
Right. And so as you bring that down, they improve and they feel better. When you work with someone and say a lady comes to you and she's got a lot of the endometriosis pain, there's also the emotional symptoms that go with it. What tends to get better first? Does the emotions tend to stabilize first and then the pain, or is it the other way around, or is it different for everyone?
That's a great question. And I would say it's definitely different for everybody, but at the same time, I feel like you kind of have to approach it from all angles at the same time, because there's kind of no separating the two at the end of the day, right? You can't be just addressing the physical body and completely ignoring your stress and your mindset and all of that. But I think the opposite is also true to an extent. So, and that's something that I do talk to my clients about regularly is, okay, yes, we're doing all this stuff to support your body, but what are you doing to support yourself? Do you have stress management tools in your life? Are there things that you can just say no to that that you haven't been? Are there things that you can adjust in your life to help to just allow your nervous system to settle down? Because that's so important in the healing journey, especially when you're struggling with inflammation and with a chronic illness. I mean, it's something that just can't be ignored.
No, I love a quote by William James. He's like, they call him the original philosopher, or psychologist in America. And he said, one of the principal aims is to get your nervous system working for you instead of against you. And everybody in our culture, our modern culture, with the way we eat, the SAD diet, we call it, and the always on, always available impact of our smartphones, the hustle culture we live in. I've been to 50 countries, and most of the world doesn't live like we do. Like in a lot of the research I've done, our genetics are really not equipped for our lifestyle the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And so we literally, you get somebody over 30 and they're pretty much stuck all the way over in stress response, and it's so normalized they don't even feel it. And when they first start learning how to get out of that, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could feel this way. So when you work with people, generally, do they start to feel a little bit better when? After 3 months, 6 months? What would be a kind of an average?
Yeah, I would say people start to feel better much sooner than that. I often will, of course, I check in with my clients regularly. So many people, even within a couple of weeks, are already starting to see improvements.
Nice,
and then,
good.
Things continue to improve along the way. I typically work with clients for at least 6 months, some more. So, because just this type of approach, as you know, it takes time, right? It's not an overnight, quick fix Band-Aid solution. It's when you're really doing this deeper healing, it does take time, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to see positive results much faster.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just asking you all the questions I get asked when I sell people into our program, trying to help this podcast answer those questions.
There you go.
What would you say would be, other than what I've asked already, what's something that people typically ask you that I haven't brought up yet before they work with you?
That's a great question.
I just put her on the spot too.
That's okay.
Yeah. I
don't mind being put on the spot. It's all good.
Yeah.
I would say one of the big things that I get asked a lot is just because I don't know if it's just me, the way I talk, my personality, what it is, but I tend to attract a lot of people who are have already been kind of interested in the health and wellness space and have already kind of done some research and learning along the way. I guess maybe just this type of field attracts that type of person. Yeah,
well, you attract who you are too. So.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Yeah. Yep.
But I tend to get a lot of questions about just, hey, I feel like I've been doing all the things. I know I've changed my diet. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And I'm still not seeing the full relief that I want, that I've been looking for. What does this type of work, like, what can that offer me that I haven't already done?
You're right.
Something that I get asked a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I do too. Yeah. Because you always want to ask people, what have they tried and how did that work? And so what are some of the things that after people work with you for 6 months and they've had success, what are the kind of things they say to you after they work with you?
I hear a lot of just, I never knew I could feel this good. or I forgot that life could feel this way, or I had no idea that it was possible for me to have this much energy. Just so many things that I think people just didn't, and I know this was true for me, people just didn't realize the possibilities of how because you kind of told, especially something like endometriosis, that's one of the first things that I was told, is that it doesn't have a cure. Like, sorry, and I was in my late 20s when I was first diagnosed. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to be in menopause for like 20 plus years.
Yeah. Well, there is a cure. It takes take it out so you don't have it, but then that creates other issues.
Right. And even that, it's actually been shown now that even a full hysterectomy doesn't necessarily prevent endometriosis from coming back. There's people who completely have everything, uterus, ovaries, everything removed, and actually are still having endometriosis coming back in their body, which is pretty crazy. So
my wife got free of that. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's good. She's a lucky one for sure.
Yeah, man. But this is really great. I think it probably fuels you too, right? When you get those stories.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're in, this is what you're doing, what I'm doing at our company. This is on the front end, the frontier right now of medicine, and it's not easy. It's like when you meet with people, you have to. I don't want to sound negative, but undo conditioning of their whole life about, my whole life I thought I only do whatever my insurance card will pay for.
Yes.
And then I realized, like, really, I'm going to outsource my $1 billion asset to what United Health says is okay? No, I stopped making that decision when I was 50, 10 years ago. And, I tell people the story all the time. My dad's had 9 heart attacks. He had 3 by the same age I am.
Oh, wow.
And I have the same genetics, but because I got ahead of it, they've not expressed. And I had a scan a year ago and it said I had no blockage at all. And
nice.
I'm 6. Yeah. And so I've changed the narrative in my health future. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool with any of your ladies that do this, the things that you're asking them to do, you're empowering them for the rest of their lives. It's not just a 6-month, like they know how to take care of themselves now the rest of their life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's really my big goal, right? My goal isn't to have my clients stay with me forever, right? They shouldn't need me forever for the rest of their lives, although I'm always available to reach out to. But it's exactly that. It's that feeling of empowerment, of knowing that there's something that they can do to continue to support their bodies. Because I know that that's been huge for me, is just knowing that I can take care of myself, not to say that I never need support or help along the way, but just kind of having the knowledge and the tools of what I can continue to do along the way to support my body is huge. Yeah.
So tell me, I kind of did a little bit of teasing it out, but who out there who would be listening is really a good fit to work with you? Anyone who has an endometriosis diagnosis and just kind of feels stuck, which I think is so many people. Maybe you're somebody who is, like I mentioned before, has tried all the things and done a lot on your own, and you just feel like you kind of aren't quite getting to where you want to get, or you're tired of having to, rely solely on medications and things like that to keep you going. You're feeling like you're not really able to live your life as fully as you'd like to because you're in pain and you've got fatigue going on and you've got weird gut stuff going on. Right.
You feel like that's holding you back. That's really the main population that I like to work with. So,
and a lot of people that I work with have the same kind of things. They just take endometriosis out.
Sure.
And put in something else. But also, I think your clients probably do the same, feel the same way. Ours all come to us. I'm tired of guessing. I'm confused. And I want to go to one place that can kind of pull it all together for me and guide me. That's what you offer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's really neat. So how does someone who's interested find you?
Well, best places to find me would be my website, which is www.endobellygirl.com. Or you can find me on Instagram at endobellygirl.
So endo, E-N-D-O, belly, B-E-L-L-I-E?
B-E-L-L-Y.
Girl.com. Good. Yeah, our show notes will have all of this when it is released. Alyssa, thanks for coming on the Tiger Optimal Health Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time chatting with you today.
Thank you. Steve Adams here from Tiger Medical Institute talking about the True Health Assessment. What if you could safeguard not just your health, but the well-being of your entire family? With the True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical, you can. Our comprehensive blood screening identifies hidden risks before they become major issues. Our elite team of Mayo Clinic trained and naturopathic physicians then create a customized plan to optimize your health for years to come. When you prioritize your wellness, you ensure you can be fully present for the people you love most. Don't let preventable issues cut that time short. For less than the cost of a daily latte, you can gain peace of mind and a clear path to sustained vitality. Protect your future and your family's future with True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical at thetruehealthassessment.com. Again, that's at thetruehealthassessment.com.